Okay, folks, so let's see here. We're on question number 13 on traits and reproduction. Look at these cute frogs. So let's read the question. Find out more about these cute frogs. And the question reads, Henry is studying a family of tree frogs. Oh, they're tree frogs that have poisonous skin. And he finds one frog with a mutation for the poison feature. Which of these statements about the tree frog with the mutation is true? So what happens when you have a mutation, we don't know, based off the information, we don't know if the tree frog is poisonous or not poisonous or extremely poisonous. But what we do know is that their genes have been mutated. Their genes have been changed. So these would be the regular genes that were passed down to their from their inherited from their parents. And what would happen here is, let's see if Mr. Lopez can modify the gene. So he's looking for that little capsule. Okay, so let's take the gene here and change its color to purple. And we'll do the same thing to that one. Copy. No, we can. That's just one. So this is now a mutated gene. There will be no change to the frog's poison. That's A, letter A. We don't know that. We don't know if there was a change or not. Judging from the sentence, the frog must be, this is letter B, the frog must be more poisonous than other frogs. We, again, don't know. The frog must be less poisonous than other frogs. We don't know that either. There must be a change in the frog's genes. Well, there was a change in the frog's genes. If we had placed the red genes there, they would have been regular genes, but they became mutated genes. You saw me mutate this gene. Now it's a purple and red combination. So there has been a change in the frog's genes. All right, so hopefully that'll answer for you question 13. And let's head over to question 14. Question number 14. Two sharks have different parents. The two sharks have different proteins in their cells for the color. And let me make this bigger so you can see it. Two sharks have different parents. Two sharks have different proteins in their cells for the color on the tip of their fins. What can you say about the color on the tip of the two sharks' fins? So we have two sharks, right? They have different parents, right? You see that? Two sharks, two different parents. What we also notice is that the sharks look relatively the same. What you may not see, and if I can zoom it in a little bit more, is that the shark's fins look different. So I modified it here. We have a dorsal fin on a shark, and it has a black tip. And on this shark, it has a brown tip. So a brown tip fin shark and a black tip finned shark, and they both have different parents. The two sharks have different proteins in their cells for the color on the tip of their fins. So let's copy and paste. If this has a brown fin, we'll give it the brown gene. This has a black tip, so we will give it a black tip gene. Now they both have two sets, one from their mother, one from their father. The fins will be the same color since all sharks have the same fin color. No, they have a different color. The fins will be the same color because even with different proteins for fin color, the proteins can connect in the same way. Well, we know that they have a different color fin. So that can't be the answer, right? C, the fins will be different colors since offspring from parents will have different colored fins. Well, you don't always get, so what this is trying to say is your offspring, whatever your offspring has, you will have. So if your mom is tall, then you will be tall. Well, that's not always the case, right? If your mom has green eyes, then you will have green eyes. That's not always the case. Your mom has curly hair, you might wind up with straight hair. So for C, it might not always end up being the case. The fins will be different. This is D. The fins will be different, a different color. They are a different color since their proteins for fin color are different. Their proteins are different because their DNA is different. So hopefully that will help you answer this question here. It just it's leaning towards one direction, I think, but you make that decision. And we're gonna go with question number 15 here with echidnas, the member of these cute animals. They're burrowers. They love to dig, and they come from the anteater family. They eat a lot of ants. And they have bristles here, if you notice, those needles that are sticking out. Some of them are very thick, and some of them are very thin. Echidnas hatch. Echidnas, that's what they're called. They hatch from an egg and develop bristles as they mature, even though they are mammals. Two echidnas have different parents. One has thick bristles, while the other has thin bristles. Why do the echidnas have bristles with different thicknesses? And so if we explore this question a little bit, we know that these two are different because they have, well, they're not identical twins. They have different parents, and one has thick bristle, and the other has, well, one has thick bristle, and the other has a thin bristle. And let's read the question. The question is, why do echidnas have bristles with different thicknesses? Well, you just saw me move their genetic codes, right? Each echidnas have different versions of the gene for bristle thickness. The genes are different thicknesses in each echidna's bristles. So it's not all about the genes. The genes, remember, the genes make instructions for the protein so that the protein can then make the traits. In this case, the traits being the bristles that these echidnas have on their bodies. Let's see here. We have, so the genes are not at different thicknesses. That logic doesn't really work. The echidnas have different versions of the gene for bristle thickness. They do have different genes, right? The echidnas have different versions of the gene for bristle thickness, which instruct, I like that word, I like it when I see that word, for different proteins. They have different proteins. If they have different proteins, they have different traits that connect in ways to make bristles of different thicknesses. Yeah, because they have different thicknesses, thick and thin, right? I like this answer. But nonetheless, we read all of them. Each echidna has a different bristle thickness because they're offspring from different parents. No, it's not always about the parents. Sometimes it's not always about the parent, what the parents have inherited, you have inherited from the parents. It's about which gene is going to be dominant over another gene that you've inherited from your parents. Each echidna has a different bristle thickness because they have different versions of the gene for bristle thickness that connect together to make different bristle thicknesses. No, there was no talk here about proteins. Different bristle thicknesses, that is not going to work. So you again make the decision on what you think may be the right answer for question number 15. And here we have some parakeets. There are some parakeet lovers out there. And we have this parakeet with a blue chest. And the parakeet with the blue chest inherited the blue chest from its father. Its mother has a green chest. So let's go ahead and read the question really quick. A father parakeet has blue chest feathers. There's the father parakeet, blue chest feathers. While a mother parakeet has green chest feathers, there's the mother parakeet right there. Which of these explains why their baby parakeet has blue chest feathers? So we have they both had a baby parakeet and came out with blue chest feathers. And if we were to line up our genetic codes here, we copy and paste, and let's just put these in the order that they belong in, all right? So the father has a blue chest feather gene, and the baby parakeet has a blue gene as well. And the mother has a green gene. And that much we do know. We do know that they both carry another set of genes. We were not given that information though. So the baby parakeet, let's look at what we have here. It says here the baby parakeet has blue chest feathers. Well, let's go to how can we explain why the baby parakeet has blue chest feathers? The baby parakeet inherited its copies of the gene for feather color from its father and not from its mother. That's not true. You always inherit one copy. We don't know which copy it was, but we know that this parakeet inherited one gene from mother and one gene from father. Now, which one works for which one will dominate over another, and which will the parakeet end up with? That's a different question. The baby parakeet inherited its copies of the gene for feather color from its father and not from its mother. Just like its father's genes, these genes instruct for proteins that connect in ways that make its feathers blue. And that is again not correct because it says and not from its mother. That's no. It always inherits one from the mother and one from the father. The baby parakeet inherited one copy of the gene for feather color from its father and one from its mother. This is correct so far. Those genes connect together. Genes don't connect together. The proteins connect together. And D, the baby parakeet inherited one copy of the gene from its father and one from its mother. That's correct so far. The gene combination instructs. Oh, I told you, I said I love it when it says instructs. The gene instructs for proteins. The gene instructs for proteins in ways that make its feather blue, which gives it the trait of a blue feather. I like that answer. Okay, so hopefully that'll give you some help with question number 16. In question number 17, we have the wing cells of dragonflies. And I want you to keep this in mind for question number 16. If the function changes, then proteins change. If the function changes, then proteins change. So where here do you see the function changing and the protein changing as well? That is where you will find the answer. Okay. The amount of that type of protein stayed the same, so its function doesn't change. The changed protein connects differently, but its function doesn't change. No, if there's a change in the protein, then the function does change. The changed protein connects differently, so its function changes. The changed protein connects differently, so its function changes. The changed protein connects the same. No, we already know that the protein connects. Okay, so hopefully you did well with question number 17, knowing if the function changes, then the proteins change. If the proteins change, then the function changes. So it's either or. Okay, and this is question number 18, which involves a pretty flower, a pretty rose. And I set this already up. We have Braden, who's trying to figure out petal shape. And we know that, well, let's read the question. Let's bring this out a little bit. We have a pink and a yellow rose. So Braden is trying to figure out how petal shape is determined in two different roses. In the pink rose, the copies of the gene are the same as each other. So as you see here, the pink rose has the same genes, both pink. The copies of the gene are the same as each other. In the yellow rose, the copies of the gene are different from each other. So right here, for the yellow rose, we have a yellow gene and a white gene. And so through change, the DNA for the yellow gene version instructed for the proteins to make yellow. Even though the yellow rose does have the white gene, for it to have capability to be a white rose, the yellow is the more dominant gene. That is why it is a yellow rose as opposed to a white. So how does this affect how many types of proteins there are in each petal? The pink rose has one type of protein for the petal shape feature. The yellow rose has two types of protein. Pink rose, yeah, for the shape of the feathers. So this is basically reiterating what we know. Pink rose has one type. Yes, they have one type. And what's the type of genes? They only have pink, right? Oops, pink. The same, has the same protein. Can only instruct for it to make a pink flower. The yellow rose has two types of proteins, yes. a protein for yellow. Sorry, that came out not well. And a protein for white. So this flower has the capability to make a pink or a white flower, but the yellow is the more dominant. That's why it instructs for it to make a yellow flower. And that sounds about right. Let's look at B. The pink rose has one type of protein for the petal-shaped feature. The yellow rose has one type. Nope, the yellow has two. What about C? The pink rose has two types of protein for the petal-shaped feature. The yellow rose has two. No, the yellow rose does not have two types of protein. It has two genes, but it only has one type of protein, and that's pink, to make a pink rose. So, okay. Yeah, so this is wrong here. It should say 2. The pink rose has two types of protein for the petal-shaped feature. No, it does not have 2. It only has 1. Only has 1, and that's pink. And it's impossible to say anything. Well, we can say something about it, right? We can say something about that. All right, and that about does it. That was question 18. I hope that you guys did well, and I hope that all this information was useful for you. Thanks so much, and I will see you in the next episode.